Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Game Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of sports. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie. Today we've got an exciting lineup of topics to cover. We're talking everything from the latest in the NBA playoffs, some surprising developments in the NFL offseason, to the world of soccer, and even a bit on the upcoming Olympics.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. Why don't we kick things off with the NBA? It's been a wild playoff season so far. Any standout moments for you, Jamie?
Oh, definitely. The series between the Lakers and the Warriors has been absolutely insane. I mean, who could have predicted that Game 5 performance by LeBron? At 39, he's still proving why he's one of the greatest of all time.
Right? That guy is just ageless, dropping 40 points and making it look easy. And then you have Steph Curry on the other side, just as electric. It's like watching a chess match with how these two legends are strategizing against each other.
Totally. And what about the young stars? I've been really impressed by the play of Ja Morant this season. The Grizzlies have really stepped up their game, and Morant's leadership on the court is phenomenal.
Ja has been fantastic. His athleticism is off the charts, and he's really matured as a player. It's exciting to see the next generation of stars taking the reins. Speaking of which, how about Luka Doncic? The way he's been carrying the Mavericks, it's like watching a seasoned veteran, but he's still so young.
Luka is a beast. His court vision, his scoring ability, it's all there. I think Dallas has a real shot at making a deep run in the playoffs with him leading the charge. What do you think about their chances this year?
I think they've got a solid chance, especially with the way Luka is playing. But they need the rest of the team to step up. Basketball's a team sport after all. Let's switch gears a bit. What's caught your eye in the NFL offseason?
Oh man, the NFL offseason has been wild. The biggest shocker for me has to be Aaron Rodgers finally getting traded to the Jets. It's been talked about for years, but I didn't actually believe it would happen until it did.
That was a bombshell for sure. Seeing Rodgers in a Jets uniform is going to take some getting used to. But I think this could be a great move for him. The Jets have been rebuilding, and Rodgers could be the piece they've been missing to finally become a serious contender.
Agreed. And what about the draft? Any picks that stood out to you?
Definitely. The Panthers' selection of Bryce Young as the first overall pick was interesting. He's got a lot of potential, and Carolina desperately needs a franchise quarterback. It'll be exciting to see how he develops.
For sure. I'm also curious about the quarterbacks. This draft class was pretty strong, and I think we're going to see some great young talent emerging over the next few seasons. Speaking of young talent, let's talk about soccer for a minute. The transfer window has been buzzing with activity.
Absolutely. The biggest move has to be Haaland transferring to Real Madrid. That's going to shake up La Liga for sure. Pairing him with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo is going to make for one of the most potent attacking lines in football.
It's a dream lineup for sure. Haaland's goal-scoring ability is just phenomenal, and Real Madrid keeps building on their legacy. Do you think this move makes them favorites for the Champions League next season?
They've got to be in the conversation. With a squad like that, it's hard to bet against them. But let's not forget about the English clubs. Manchester City and Liverpool are still powerhouses, and they're not going to make it easy for anyone.
True. And what about Messi? There are rumors about him possibly moving to the MLS. Can you imagine the impact he would have on American soccer?
That would be huge. Messi in the MLS would be a game changer, not just for the league, but for soccer in the United States as a whole. It would bring a ton of new fans and increase the level of competition. Plus, it'd be incredible for young American players to have the chance to play against one of the greatest of all time.
No doubt. It would be a monumental moment for the sport here. And speaking of monumental moments, we can't forget about the upcoming Olympics. There's so much anticipation building up.
Yeah, the Olympics always bring such a unique excitement. I'm particularly looking forward to the track and field events. There's been a lot of buzz around the new generation of sprinters, and I'm eager to see if anyone can break Usain Bolt's records.
That's always thrilling to watch. And don't forget about swimming. There are a few young swimmers who are making waves, no pun intended, and might give Michael Phelps's legacy a run for its money.
Katie Ledecky is still going strong too. She's been a dominant force in women's swimming, and I'm sure she's looking to add more gold medals to her collection. The Olympics really are a showcase of the best of the best.
Absolutely. And it's not just the traditional sports. The inclusion of new sports like skateboarding and surfing has added a fresh dynamic. I think it's great to see these athletes getting the recognition they deserve on such a global stage.
Agreed. It's always fascinating to see how the Olympics evolve and include different sports that appeal to younger audiences. It keeps things interesting and showcases the diversity of athletic talent around the world.
Speaking of diverse talents, let's not forget about the Paralympics. The level of determination and skill we see there is truly inspirational.
100%. The Paralympians are incredible athletes, and their stories of perseverance are just amazing. It's a reminder of the pure love of sport and competition.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting summer with all these events coming up. I can't wait to see what unfolds.
Same here. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back next week with more sports talk.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on social media and leave us a review. We love hearing your feedback.
Until next time, keep enjoying the games.
Podcast title, Gridiron Gab, is all things American football.
Welcome back to another episode of Gridiron Gab, your go-to podcast for all things American football. I'm Jack, your host for today, and with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Mike. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, Jack! I'm doing great. Excited to dive into another exciting episode. There's so much to talk about in the world of football right now.
Absolutely, Mike. We've got a lot on the agenda today. From the latest trends and updates in the NFL to some deep dives into our favorite teams and players, and even a look at the future of the sport. But first, let's start with the biggest news of 2024 so far. The Super Bowl, man. What a game.
Oh, absolutely. Super Bowl LV8 was one for the ages. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers, and what a showdown it was. The Chiefs clinching the victory in the final minutes was nothing short of spectacular. Patrick Mahomes proved once again why he's one of the best quarterbacks of our generation.
Mahomes' performance was legendary, no doubt about it. But let's not forget about the incredible effort from the 49ers defense. They were relentless throughout the game, and Nick Bosa was an absolute beast on the field.
True, Bosa has been a force to be reckoned with. His ability to disrupt the backfield is second to none. But what stood out to me the most was how both teams adapted their strategies throughout the game. The chess match between Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan was fascinating to watch.
Yeah, the coaching strategies were top-notch. Andy Reid's decision to go for it on fourth down in the third quarter was a game-changer. It really showed his confidence in Mahomes and the offensive unit.
Speaking of offensive units, let's talk about some of the standout players this season. Obviously, Mahomes is at the top of the list, but who else caught your eye this year?
Well, one player who really impressed me was Joe Burrow. His comeback from last year's injury was nothing short of miraculous. He led the Bengals to the playoffs and showcased his elite quarterback skills. His connection with Jamar Chase is electric.
Burrow is definitely special. And you're right about that connection with Chase. It's like they picked up right where they left off in college. Another player that stood out to me was Justin Jefferson. The guy is a human highlight reel. He makes the most difficult catches look routine.
Jefferson's consistency is incredible. He's quickly becoming one of the top receivers in the league. And we can't forget about the running backs. Jonathan Taylor had another stellar season. His ability to find gaps and break tackles is something else.
Taylor's vision and strength are unmatched. He carried the Colts offense on his back. Speaking of carrying offenses, what about Josh Allen? The Bills quarterback had an MVP caliber season. His dual threat ability makes him a nightmare for defenses.
Allen's arm strength and mobility are a deadly combination. The way he can launch the ball downfield while on the run is insane. The Bills have a real shot at the Super Bowl next season if he keeps playing at this level.
No doubt about that. Switching gears a bit, let's talk about some of the surprises and disappointments of the season. Who do you think didn't live up to the expectations?
For me, it was the Los Angeles Rams. After winning the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, they struggled to find their rhythm this season. Injuries played a part, but overall, they just didn't seem to have the same spark.
I agree. The Rams were a big letdown. On the flip side, a pleasant surprise was the Detroit Lions. They finally seemed to turn a corner this year. Their young core, led by Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown, showed a lot of promise.
The Lions' resurgence was great to see. Dan Campbell has done an excellent job changing the culture there. It's amazing what a few key pieces and a lot of heart can do for a team.
Absolutely. And speaking of culture, let's touch on the impact of the international games this season. The NFL's push to expand globally has been really interesting. The games in London, Germany, and Mexico were huge hits.
The international games are fantastic for the sport. They bring a whole new level of excitement and expose football to a broader audience. The London Games, in particular, have become a staple. The fan turnout and enthusiasm are incredible.
It's a smart move by the NFL. Growing the game globally can only be beneficial. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a team based in London in the near future.
That would be groundbreaking. Imagine the logistics, though. The travel, the scheduling, it would be a massive undertaking. But if any league can pull it off, it's the NFL.
For sure. Now, let's pivot a bit and talk about some of the rule changes and their impacts this season. What did you think of the new overtime rules?
The new overtime rules were a welcome change. Ensuring both teams get a chance to possess the ball has made games more fair and exciting. The playoffs especially benefited from this rule change. No more heartbreaks without a chance for a rebuttal.
Exactly. It adds a new layer of strategy, too. Coaches have to think differently knowing both teams will get the ball. Another rule change that had an impact was the increased emphasis on player safety, particularly around quarterback protection.
The emphasis on reducing head injuries and protecting players is crucial. The league has made strides in improving safety protocols, and it's great to see. The game needs to evolve to ensure the players' well-being.
Player safety should always be a top priority, and it's good to see the NFL taking steps in the right direction. Speaking of evolving, let's talk about the future of the game. What do you think the NFL will look like in 5 to 10 years?
That's a fascinating topic. I think we'll see even more technological integration. Advanced analytics, AI-driven decision-making tools, and enhanced player tracking are just the beginning. The way teams prepare and execute strategies will be revolutionized.
Technology is definitely going to play a huge role. Virtual reality for training, improved medical treatments for quicker recovery, and maybe even changes in how fans experience the game with augmented reality.
Imagine being able to watch a game from the perspective of your favorite player through AR. That would be incredible. Also, I think we'll see a continued push for diversity and inclusion within the league, both on and off the field.
Diversity is crucial for the growth of the sport. More representation in coaching, management, and ownership roles will help the league evolve and connect with a broader audience.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the youth programs. Investing in the grassroots level will ensure a steady stream of talent and keep the game growing.
That's key. Building a strong foundation at the youth level will pay dividends for the future. As we wrap up, let's each share our most memorable moment from this past season. What stood out to you, Jack?
For me, it was the Bills' incredible comeback against the Dolphins in Week 15. Down by 21 points in the fourth quarter, Josh Allen led the charge and pulled off an improbable victory. The energy in that stadium was electric.
That was an amazing game. For me, it has to be the retirement of Aaron Rodgers. Watching his farewell game at Lambeau Field was emotional. He's had such a storied career, and seeing him leave the game was bittersweet.
Rodgers' retirement marks the end of an era. He's been such an influential figure in the league. Well, that about does it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to Gridiron Gab. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on social media for all the latest updates.
Thanks, everyone. We'll be back next week with more football talk. Until then, keep loving the game and enjoy the off-season.